Welcome to Rossman Radio, the podcast where we dive deep into the journeys of entrepreneurs, founders, and e-commerce brands that are breaking through the noise and scaling like never before. I'm Alysse, and Rossman Media is a trend-forward social media agency specializing in going viral and delivering 10x returns for the brands that we work with. Each week, I'll sit down with industry disruptors to talk about the highs, the lows, and the exact strategies that help them grow from their first sale to multi-million-dollar milestones. If you're ready to unlock what it really takes to win on social, build a community, and multiply your revenue, then you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Rossman Radio. This is Alysse, and I'm here with Andy Andersen, VP of Creative at Dude Wipes. We're going to be talking all things creative, marketing, and things that have gone on throughout the years as this brand has completely exploded. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's it going? How's everything over at Dude Wipes today?
Oh, it's busy. Halfway through the year and feel like we've lived 3 lifetimes already, but yeah, excited for the rest of it.
I bet even since you guys have first launched, it's been interesting to see the progression of the branding and the creative, which I know you've had a huge hand in. Do you feel like the marketing vision from the beginning of, the brand matches sort of what it is today, like what you guys had the vision for versus like what it is today?
Yeah, I think the vision kind of remains consistent. The only thing that's changed is we've had some extra bodies to help us, move the vision forward, and we've had some extra money to make the vision larger. So, yeah, I think at the heart of it, we're so authentic to the Dude Wipes brand, and nothing's broken. So we feel like we just got to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see Dude Wipes also pop into comment sections randomly, and there's like this spunky, almost like quirky little voice that you guys have on social media where like you'll pop in and make your presence known.
Yeah, I think that's one of our tactics. It feels authentic to us.
Definitely.
We always want to talk to the customer like we're talking to our friend, like we're sending a text message or an email, kind of a buddy you've known for a long time that you can just hit them with a quick one-liner and they know exactly what it means. So we approach social like that in comments, and we do our best to troll the internet and make sure we pop up in expected places and unexpected places.
Yeah, I like that. And I feel like there's a couple brands that when you think about it that are just consistent with that. And it really gives it that personality on social. And it's funny because it does feel like a text message, when you see it's like almost like you're in a group chat now with the brand. And I feel like that's something that we do a lot with our clients too, where we encourage them to show up that way, because the more relatable, obviously, you can be, especially on social media, the more people are going to buy into what you're doing and just be interested. Because at the end of the day, they're wipes, So how can we make this brand something that is a lifestyle, like how can we make this brand stand out? And you guys have done a really good job at that.
Yeah, for sure. And, we use it a lot to, to just increase our presence in places, that people wouldn't expect us to pop in. But it actually leads to a lot of really interesting conversations with partners and brands and celebrities who probably have no right to talk to. So it's kind of like this weird underrepresented, but also super important to us. And we do spend a lot of time making sure that we are trolling the internet every day, making sure we are top of mind on poop conversations. And it's gotten to the point too where the community knows what we're going to say before we even say it sometimes. So if they see someone, have a diarrhea explosion on an airplane, they're on, hey, Dude Wipes, get in there. So we've kind of primed the audience. Yeah. Yep.
That's hilarious. What is like the first moment you realized that this brand was going to be bigger than just a niche product?
Yeah, it's one of those things where the brand has always been good, and I've always resonated with it from just a personal level and from my background. I understand the way they talk to their consumers is the way I would want to be talked to, so I think I authentically connect with the brand itself. And then the product is really good. And so I think when you have this combination of a really interesting brand, a really good product, and then you're in a category that's growing and has a lot of white space, those are recipes for success. And so, I think all of those elements come together and make a huge opportunity to grow this brand bigger than anyone has ever thought.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the evolution in your messaging and your audience has, definitely adapted with the times too. So I feel like, when Instagram was the main player, you guys were all over Instagram. Now that TikTok's sort of taken over, what are your plans moving forward, and kind of like what's your strategy there?
Yeah, we see, everything as an opportunity. And I think when a lot of people saw, especially TikTok Shop kind of pop up, most of the big brands were really scared or did 3,000 meetings with, the suits higher above saying, should we do this? Should we not do this? We just jumped right in, and, it's crazy. It's the Wild West in the TikTok Shop still, kind of, where things are unknown, things are moving around, things are changing all the time, but we pride ourselves in being nimble, and we adapt to any and all that, and we've been able to gain a pretty good foothold in the TikTok Shop and really grow that part of our business. And so I think, one of our kind of like core tenets as a brand is scared money don't make money. And so we got to take big swings. And if you're not taking big swings, then you're not really trying hard enough. And TikTok was one of those.
Yeah, and TikTok's honestly still a place where you can get cheap eyeballs on your stuff. And I think that especially within TikTok Shop, the brands that are taking advantage of it and getting in, it's sort of the wild, wild west still. And it's one of those things where if you adopt early, you're going to be really successful. And we're having that success with all of our clients. I mean, TikTok Shop is probably one of the top demand services that we're having right now, whether it's lives, the actual shop, working with affiliates. It's such a robust channel within the TikTok. So it's wild because, TikTok alone already has so many different opportunities to build revenue for a business. And this is just like one of like 4 different engines that is kind of like outbeating everything right now.
For sure. For sure. And like, just give a little context. We spend no ad dollars on TikTok at all. We're generating tens of millions of views on just affiliate content and live and recorded videos, through a shop. So we're learning how each platform is specific to the customer, to the, from a content perspective, like what you need to serve, what people like. Instagram for us is like kind of our meme layer. That's where we feel like we do the best work, and where, the people who are on Instagram following us want to see that content. So yeah, you got to treat everything a little bit differently. It's not a one size fits all template.
Yeah, could not be, you just nailed it. Now, do you feel like you guys have ever experienced any challenges when it comes to getting in front of audiences or your messaging or marketing?
Yeah, I think, we just started running some traditional marketing, linear TV. We filmed a spot. I think it was our first time where networks, we had to go through an approval process, and kind of what we wanted to say and what we were allowed to say on a network did not necessarily match up. It's a new category, or it's a growing category. It's still kind of a taboo space. And so, mentioning the toilet or bathroom habits still is kind of a sketchy area for a lot of advertising platforms. So we do the best we can. We have our language, and, we have our Walmart version of our language, and we have our Instagram version of our language. And so, again, just being able to read the room and say, how can we get the message we want to get across on whatever platform? That's the most important piece. And as long as it sounds like Do Web still, I think we're okay with it.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what platforms are, obviously we talked about TikTok Shop, but what platforms are performing the best for you? And which platforms do you feel like you haven't cracked the code with yet, if any?
Yeah, I think we always have moments of like, oh, we figured it out. And then 3 months later, we're like, we have no idea what we're doing. And, so I think that's normal. And that's part of the fun of it is just when you think you figure something out, Instagram or Meta will introduce a change that jacks up the algorithm and you have to start all over again. But I really think it's just trying a bunch of different things. That's kind of the best recipe for success. Something will work for a long time and then it won't work anymore. And so like, what's the next thing? And you got to approach each platform like that. I would say YouTube is probably the one that we have not put a ton of time into it just from a resourcing perspective, but it's something that we are absolutely going to focus on next year. So yeah, a lot of upside for that.
YouTube is so underrated when it comes to brands. And I feel like we're working with e-commerce brands pretty heavily on YouTube right now. And what people don't realize is it's literally another search engine, just like Google. And that's how people people are utilizing it. And for your brand, I mean, you could go about it so many different ways where you could have different content pillars, some just like dedicated to like funny videos that will attract people and like relate, like you said, like speaking the language, and others that are like just educational, and like others where you're just selling product. Like there's a lot of different options that you have. And it'll also, what people don't realize is the more active you are on YouTube, the better your website's going to perform, because it helps your SEO as well. It increases your rankings. And of course, if you're running ads, it helps support there too, like on Google. So it's definitely something where I'm so excited to hear that you guys are branching into, because we're seeing a lot of success, and we're seeing a lot of brands, because there was a time where YouTube was a very niche place for a very specific type of content, and not everyone could kind of crack the code there. But now it's totally transformed, and the businesses and brands that really understand how to use it and what their users want to see are going to see 5, 10, 15x on their returns there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you ask the average person, what they use on the internet to watch videos, they're going to say YouTube. Whether they're a 7-year-old kid watching Roblox videos, or a 60-year-old man trying to problem solve a leaky pipe under his cabinet.
Yeah.
That's what people are using to ingest that kind of content, but also just long form content and podcasts, and so it's a space that everybody's going, and it's not going away. And so we want to be there.
Definitely. Okay, Dude Wipes has never been shy with humor and things like that. So what is like the riskiest marketing move that you feel like the company's made?
Oh, that's a tough one. We want to make sure most of what we do has a little sauce to it, and that nothing feels too soft. So that is a tough one to answer. I think when partnerships, especially, and people that we work with, and brands, I think when they lean in to what we want to talk about, specifically poop and wiping and butts, I think that makes for the best content, and probably the most risky content for both parties.
Yeah.
And so I would say, like, as long as they lean in, we're just going to get a better product from it. And I think we've seen a lot of trouble working with brands too, where everything's all good up front, and then when it gets to actually saying kind of like what we want to say, they kind of push back and like, oh, well, we can't actually say that. It's like, I don't know, I think it would be the best. So I think that's one thing that we're in a constant kind of education phase, and it's partially because it's a taboo topic, and it's partially because people are worried that their followers or their consumers will not like the material. But at the end of the day, like, we truly believe poop is funny, and poop humor is funny, and that it resonates with a majority of people,
Everyone.
whether they want to admit it or not. And so we're slowly breaking everyone down a little bit at a time, but we'll get there.
That's hilarious. It honestly blows my mind to hear you say that, because it's wild that brands would push back at something as minuscule as poop. But when you look at the things that get pushed through advertising today that are extremely controversial, that's totally okay. It's like a little ridiculous, but a little poop humor is what's gonna break it. All right, got it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy that that's actually the thing that people are concerned about, is mentioning butt or saying the word poop. It's wild, some of the censors that we've done, but again, it's like, it's kind of part of the fun, and
totally.
We're on a mission to make sure everybody knows about wiping with wet wipes, and ours are the best, and we'll continue that mission.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you sharing, giving us a little glimpse into a day in the life and what's going on. And really the evolution of the brand and how you guys combat some modern marketing. So we really appreciate you being so transparent and honest. And we're always excited to see Dude Wipes on the internet and wherever else you guys show up.
Of course. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.